If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to Downfall Network for more cool content.
How are they hanging, YouTube? Thralls of Metal back at you once again. I am Rin.
I am Jammin Jon.
Necrotic Nick.
And we are here to review an album for you. And you're gonna like it. Or else. We are reviewing Killer Be Killed, Reluctant Hero.
This actually came as a bit of a surprise because I really wasn't sure this band was going to reunite because it is a supergroup with members from a lot of other very busy bands.
This year, though.
Not this year. Well, I mean, possibly busy on different projects. Certainly not busy touring, unfortunately.
Yeah.
This band pretty much was formed courtesy of Greg Puciato and Max Cavalera meeting up when they did a song together with Soulfly off the album Omen. And pretty much the two just kind of got together and kind of spitballed the idea of doing a project together. Then lo and behold, Troy Sanders walks in from Mastodon and is like, yeah, you know what, that whole supergroup thing kind of sounds cool. And they had a different drummer initially, but for this return, they actually picked up Ben Kohler from Converge. So now it feels more like a supergroup. Not that the other drummer wasn't, super. He was really good. He was really good. Super. So this is their second album, and they did a really good job keeping it secret because I didn't know about it up until they dropped the first single. I was like, oh my god, Killer Be Killed is back.
I didn't even know they dropped a single. I actually had really no idea about this album until I got here today.
I had a hunch, and luckily I was wrong, that this would kind of, go the way of some other really awesome Max Cavalera side project that only put out one album and was an absolute banger. Possibly nail bomb there. I don't know.
See our past review.
But luckily these guys pretty much got together and came out with another album, and it is a really diverse offering of pretty much a myriad of styles, namely all the styles that these guys like to play, sort of kind of put together really cleverly, sometimes a little knee-jerk, and often just incredibly on this album. Deconstructing Self-Destruction opens up with robotic vocals, and then Wall-Drench build-up before Troy bellows his guts out and over giant triplets. I mean, an instant hook right away.
Yeah.
And the vocal transitions are kind of a big thing because Troy, Greg, and Max all do vocal parts, and believe me, those guys couldn't sound more different.
They are three completely different vocalists.
Yes. Max, of course, well, if you've listened to anything with Max Cavalera, you know exactly what he sounds like. He bellows things with a fierce Portuguese accent, even though he's lived in the States for a number of years.
He does his thing, and he does it well.
Yep.
He does.
But he yells the same words he's yelled on the last 20 album releases.
He only knows like 38 words. It's like 55 albums worth of material.
Yep, right there. What I really liked is the interesting transitions, how like each part felt like it was designed for the particular person singing at the moment. Troy's kind of sounds a little bit more doomy, and then when you get down to Greg on the chorus, it actually kind of has like a power pop sort of feel.
Yeah.
Not that this is like, oh, it's bubblegum bullshit. No, it's like heavy Foo Fighters.
It sounds, to me, it sounds like newer Vision of Disorder, like from the Bliss to Devastation era. That's what all of Greg's singing parts sound like.
Greg's got a bit different register than Tim Williams, but I think it is similar, especially when it comes down to hardcore parts, and there's a lot of it.
He does a lot of different voices. He's got like 3 distinct voices.
One of which sounds like Brent Hines.
Yeah, one sounds really much like Brent, one sounds like he's dying, and the other one's like real
Chino-ish?
Yeah.
Like very breathy.
Yeah.
Like he sounds kind of disturbed. But his vocal freakouts,
they're frightening.
They're all over the place, too. And in terms of like the hardcore accented parts, you got the right drummer for that. Ben, he plays in Converge, he plays in Mutoid Man, he plays a lot of fast, pummeling drums, and he owns it on this. Just tight drum work across the board.
It is really solid in the pocket drumming.
Yeah.
It's very meat and potatoes. There's nothing real special
nothing
going
too
on
fancy,
here, but
the aggression. You can feel it.
He's smacking the piss off them skins.
Dream Gone Bad, I believe, was one of the lead-off singles. Actually, it's one of my favorites on here because the verses are so catchy. And, of course, the chorus is absolutely gigantic, but you have 2 very awesome distinctly catchy spots here. Lots of 90s rock and metal vibes in there.
It reminds me of like a less busy Mastodon.
Yeah.
Mainly because of Troy, obviously, and Greg sounds like Brent, and the way they harmonize, it's just...
Mastodon minus Ron Daler.
Yeah.
This music, at least on this song most notably, this reminds me of people that like sing-songy music, but want to flirt a little bit with heavier music. And so, here we are.
It's one you could probably con someone into. It's like, oh no, there's only one heavy part where Max shouts something.
Yes.
And then it's over, and don't worry, we're getting back to the courses.
And because it's performed by veterans now of their genre, you know, it could open the door to some cooler stuff.
It is pretty much just a well-constructed single with still a bit of edge to it. And it closes very, very heavy,
Banging.
just to sort of make up. It's like, yeah, this wasn't the heaviest song on here, but we're going to freak out for the next 15 seconds just to close it out. Now, the absolute centerpiece of this album is the longest track on here at over 7 minutes, From a Crowded Wound. This song is amazing in terms of its construction. It builds so well. Like, it's all about building
Big build-up.
tension, big chuggy hooks. It's not necessarily like poppy hooks at all. Like, these are just heavy.
Meat hooks.
Yeah, there's definitely some more the groove in this song, like kind of like hardcore music comes out to play a little bit. There's some Hatebreed-ish type moments in here.
Alice in Chains
Yeah.
like vocal harmonies.
Troy and
between-
Greg's harmonies are awesome in this.
tight. They sound great.
Really good.
And then just to make it, you know, a little bit heavier, Max comes in, belts out some nasty
But then
lyrics.
Troy backs behind his vocals with the melody, and it really works together.
Yeah.
It's the first time I think in this record that they all work together vocally really well.
There's a cool bouncy groove that's kind of around the chorus that reminds me a lot of stuff that was on Crack the Sky, like namely that whole bridge part on The Last Baron. Troy's bass cuts through pretty much everything. It is all over this.
You done did really well. In fact, I would love to hear more of his bass tone cut through on Mastodon albums, because I don't think it cuts through enough.
Yeah.
He's an underrated bass player.
Oh,
He
Troy
really is.
incredible
Troy
bass
fucking
player.
killed it.
Yep.
But yeah, this is the gem on this entire album. Not that there aren't any other good songs here, but this one stands out as it's very methodical, it's well paced, it flows very well. This is honestly one of the best songs they've ever written.
And they dry hump the shit out of the ending.
Oh my
Yes.
God. Just let it ring
Just
out.
like
And
it should be.
Yeah.
You can
Yes.
hear the heavy bass tone come out in the ending. It's just boom, boom. Like it,
And somebody's punching on a piano or something.
like
towards
hitting
the
it with
end.
a hammer.
Yeah.
Just the big strings, though. The
Yeah,
big
yeah,
strings
yeah,
only.
yeah.
We don't fuck with the little strings.
No, Max only uses 4.
But then it kind of takes this weird turn into the song The Great Purge, where something like transitioning well may have worked in the last song. It doesn't really work well in The Great Pumpkin.
Yeah.
There's a church choir, and then they're chanting behind a Biohazard riff, and then out of nowhere,
It's Christmas in New York.
out of
That's what they do.
nowhere, everything drops out, and it almost like you can hear like the cut in the studio almost. It cuts into like this Deftones.
Yeah, it's very Deftones-y.
jam, and it doesn't really make any sense.
Which the parts aren't bad, but put together weirdly.
Yeah. That opening, like, kind of hardcore chug doesn't hang out long enough to really establish itself. Like, it's there, and like, hey, I'm getting it. It's, what?
What just happened there?
Yep.
And
Is
then,
that Chino?
yeah,
And
you're
then,
just breathy.
and then when the lead
vocals
hits, it's like from an 80s power metal ballad.
Very ethereal and echoey.
Yeah, it's weird.
And the lead work on here isn't, like, anything to really, like, you know,
No.
jump up and shout about. Like, it's generally just to serve the song, like a cool lead melody.
Yeah.
You know, it's not terrible, but, I mean, it's just kind of like, you know, a little bit of decoration. But, yeah, like, this song, it doesn't know what the hell it wants to be.
I feel like there's a lot of that in this record. It sounds like all the best parts from 4 different albums.
Honestly, it sounded like the same album that someone just kept skipping tracks. Like, wait, no,
Yeah.
I was listening to that. I want to skip to this next one.
This part's cool.
We're gonna go back to this part. Yeah, hold on. Let
Wait,
me
I want to
get
rewind it
2
again. Like,
minutes.
don't stop it. Put it down. But I also had that issue on Intercom from Outer Storms, which I do like that song. But there is an abrupt transition on there that it just turns on a dime, where the whole front part of it is just sort of building tension. It's kind of gloomy. It's
haunting vocals.
Oh, it's great. I love the trade-off between Greg and Troy on this. Their parts are both very dynamic. They both have giant hooks. And then it just takes this hard turn into, like, I'd say thrashier territory
Yeah,
with Max.
Max's bits.
And, I mean, it's good, but I felt like that needed to build up more into it. Like, it's a very abrupt shift. And then it pretty much goes straight into like a hardcore D beat towards the end of the song. And then the next song, Filthy Vagabond, almost feels like a continuation of that.
It's a punch in the face.
And which is. That whole song is a, like...
You get beat up by a filthy vagabond.
Pretty much like a Discharge cover, except with like some cool like sludge metal parts in there too. And actually, that one does have a kind of a cool solo on it. It's a little bluesy.
And a real punky chorus with a whoa!
Yep. I thought those two songs could have worked together as one song because they kind of bleed into each other, but I think that's kind of like a deliberate thing in terms of the tracking. If it was one song, I think I could have forgiven like that weird transition in Intercom because like, oh, okay, it's supposed to be a longer journey of a song. But that was just kind of an odd turn on there. And then to further keep surprising you, you have Animus.
Animus.
Not Anus. We looked. We made sure.
Animus.
We didn't look at anuses.
Well, we did.
We've all seen one, unfortunately.
We all actually, yeah, we have actually.
Yep.
Everyone here has seen.
This one pretty much is a minute-long crossover thrash, almost grindcore song.
Nutty.
Just out of nowhere, like Cryptic Slaughter vibes.
Swift punt in the anus.
And I mean, honestly, like, even just looking at the tracking when I saw that was a minute-long song, I was like, okay, this is going to be like some little interlude build-up. Nope, it's an actual track, so I actually commend them for putting that on there.
Very aggressive.
But when you get down to the last track, which I swear isn't Nine Inch Nails Hurt.
Oh, it 100%.
But it doesn't swear it's not. Because
it's a few notes shy of Hurt.
But it really is. That was the very first thing I heard. And there was a piano in the beginning. They should have saved the church choir for this song.
Yeah.
Well, no, the church choir was getting the shit kicked out of them by Biohazard in the parking lot.
That's true.
But this song is really interesting in how it builds. Like, yeah, it definitely sounds like Hurt.
Yeah.
That's inescapable, but I mean...
Bowie.
It sounds so much like it hurts.
They let, Troy do sort of this kind of croon. Like, it's very low and just kind of raspy. And generally that's sort of the thing they kind of let, Greg do mostly. But I like the fact that it was Troy doing this because, I don't know, his low baritone voice really carries. And this song actually does a good job building into, like, a big, epic metal song.
Yeah.
Like, the whole back half of it, they found the right riff, the right progression. It just sounds absolutely huge.
And the harmonies were really good at the back half.
They're cool, but they're in the wrong song.
I mean, I think they're in the right song in terms of like bringing the epic out.
I don't think
it
transitions well into this part. Yeah.
Well,
for me personally, I think the last minutes of the song sound nothing like the rest of the song.
Well,
I think they changed the mode a lot coming into the end of it, and they made, in my opinion, I think they took the end of the song and made it sound like the other songs on the album.
I look at this as you have a lot of guys that are probably the dominant writers in their projects, so generally used to being the person that's the go-to for, all the riffs, construction, composition, all that. So you might have had some clashing ideas, albeit I think they were like friendly clashing ideas because these guys all seem to really like each other.
But it's like Rin said earlier too, while we were talking about it upstairs. It sounds like dudes in a different band that want to try things in this band that they can't do in their current bands, in their native bands. Like, fuck it, we're in this, we might as well give it a shot. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't on this album. But I mean, that's what you get when you get a supergroup and four dudes that have been in a myriad of other killer projects.
Writing many, many songs over many years.
Right. Yeah, right. Between the four of them, their catalog's got to be 1,000 songs?
Gotta be.
So, I mean,
Close enough to that for just Max.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But overall, I thought this was a pretty decent listen. It's a little knee-jerk in spots, and I just think maybe it's too many good ideas, just you didn't know how to assemble them properly.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's not a terrible problem. That means you still have all this extra stuff. It's just, you put it together maybe a little wrong in some spots. But when they were firing on all cylinders, they craft some amazing songs with giant hooks. So overall, I'm going to give this 3 stars. I think this is a really good album. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but I would still come back to this one. There are definitely some songs in here that I am 100% going to listen to again. But yeah, sometimes it was just a little odd. Just, assembly. It wasn't quite there.
I'm gonna give it a 3 as well. It was not a bad album. I don't want to sit over here and just thrash this album and say like it sucked, because it didn't. There were some really cool parts, but like Nick said, the assembly of those parts, it's almost like everybody kind of forgot how to play Tetris and they were just like, fuck it, we're gonna put the straight piece here and see what happens. They can't all be zingers. I know I've said it before, I'll say it again. They can't all be zingers, but I mean, you know, individually, I love all these dudes. So I mean, you know, I've been a Max fan for 20 plus years. I've been a Mastodon fan since they started. I was a Dillinger Escape Plan fan forever. I saw Converge live. Great stuff. Just maybe not fits all into this record. But it wasn't bad, so 3 stars.
I'm gonna go 3.5 stars.
Ooh.
I enjoy this. I would probably rate their first album a 4, and I'll knock this one down a little bit because the transitions are weird, but it's hooky, it's heavy. Max yelling at you about something or other.
True.
Troy singing at you about something or other. Greg hurting himself. Or
Freaking
Greg
out.
doing what Greg does?
yeah, he's making all sorts of noises from his face. And most of them are good noises. The songs that are good are really good, and the songs that are weird are pretty weird. Maybe the transitions make sense after a few listens.
You know what's interesting
Maybe.
is we've reviewed other albums that I rated lower, and I went back and I've listened to them
Yeah.
5-6 more times after we reviewed them and been like, maybe I was a little harsh.
Yeah.
And so like, you know,
We're not talking about 6 Feet Under.
they were definitely
No,
not. That
album
was
should
like
be a 6 out of 5.
a -6 out of.
None of those
Oh,
fractions
man.
make sense.
You know, if you like Max, you like Troy, you like Greg, you like the other fella, Ben.
Pretty much if you like the first album, check this out.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
as good as the first album,
Yeah.
but definitely check it out.
Yeah. Watch their videos, they're cool.
Yeah.
So, if you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We will catch you later.